After that scandalous morning at Dasha's parents' home, only a few days passed, yet it felt as if years had separated Kirill from them. The apartment became quiet, not a warm, comforting silence, but a tense one, like the air before a storm. Words no longer flowed freely, glances did not linger, and conversations were reduced to bare household necessities. Evelina Borisovna no longer raised the issue of the apartment directly. She acted more subtly now, more insidiously. "I'm just worried about you, my son," she said softly into the phone. "You're a man, yet you're living there with no real rights. Today they let you stay, tomorrow they could throw you out. I could never live like that." Kirill said nothing, but his mother's words lodged deep inside him and began to take root. He found himself looking at the walls of the apartment not as a home, but as a temporary shelter. He started reading documents, asking questions that had never crossed his mind before. "And if God forbid something happens to your parents," he casually asked one morning over breakfast, "who would the apartment belong to then?" Dasha froze with her cup in her hands. "To me. I'm their only daughter." "Why are you asking?" "Well, I'm your husband." "Isn't that a normal question?" She looked at him closely and suddenly understood with painful clarity. These were no longer his words. This was his mother speaking through him. From that day on, conversations about fairness became frequent. Kirill talked about equality, about rights, about how uncomfortable it was to feel like a guest in his own home. Dasha listened and felt something breaking inside her, not all at once, but slowly, with a quiet, cracking sound. Meanwhile, Evelina Borisovna did not waste time. She found an ally in her friend, a former court bailiff, a woman with a confident tone and uncompromising opinions. "There's something fishy here," the woman declared authoritatively. "Normal parents register property in their children's names. These people kept it in their own. That means they're hiding something." That phrase became a new weapon in Evelina Borisovna's hands. Soon, Kirill made up his mind. He stayed alone with Sergei Nikolaevich. Dasha had gone out with her mother to run errands. "I wanted to talk to you about the apartment," Kirill began hesitantly. The father-in-law lowered his newspaper and looked at him attentively. "I'm listening. You see, it's uncomfortable for me to live in someone else's apartment. Maybe you could, transfer ownership to Dasha and me equally." Sergei Nikolaevich was silent for a long moment, studying Kirill's face. "And why do you need that?" he finally asked. "So I'd be an owner too. So I'd have rights." "What kind of rights?" "To decide things, to feel like I'm not just a guest." "And what will your mother say if I refuse?" the father-in-law asked calmly. Kirill flushed. "What does my mother have to do with this?" "Everything," Sergei Nikolaevich replied. "You lived here for 3 months without asking these questions, and now suddenly you're worried about ownership. You didn't come up with this yourself." Kirill tried to argue, but the words sounded weak even to his own ears. The father-in-law stood up. "I'll tell you plainly, the apartment was bought with my money and registered in my name. I will not give it away. I bought it for my daughter, not for you. If she's happy with you, she'll live here. If not, she'll live alone." "And what if we divorce?" Kirill blurted out. Sergei Nikolaevich stiffened. "So that's what this is about," he said coldly. "Married for only 3 months, and you're already calculating what you'll get in a divorce." "That's not what I meant." "I understood perfectly," the father-in-law cut him off. "In case of divorce, you'll get exactly what you brought into this family. Nothing." When Dasha returned, she immediately sensed something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked. "Your father humiliated me," Kirill said bitterly. "I asked him to make us konas and he practically threw me out." "Why would you do that?" Dasha whispered in shock. "Why shouldn't I have rights in the apartment I live in?" "Because it's not your apartment," she snapped. "My parents bought it. For me, for our family. And if you don't like it here, you can go back to your mother." That conversation became the turning point.